shadows swallow Heathrow Airport as a lone figure slips through the gates. No security detail, no royal fanfare. The world watches in disbelief as the realization hits Prince Harry has returned. But why would the man who walked away from the crown arrive like a fugitive in the dead of night? While the global media ignites with speculation, the reality is far more chilling than any headline. It all traces back to a clandestine letter stamped with King Charles's private seal, a document Meghan Markle was never meant to see. Tension grips the palace walls as Camilla's fury reaches a breaking point, while Prince William has vanished without a trace. Whispers from the inner circle suggest this isn't a royal reunion, but a final stand against a ticking time bomb, a chilling secret buried for decades that is finally reaching its tipping point. Before we reveal the truth behind this royal crisis, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and drop your wildest theories in the comments. Let's dive into the mystery together. Some nights history isn't forged under the glowing chandeliers of grand banquets or through polished handshakes over champagne. Instead, the world is shaped in the shadows beneath the cold, relentless London rain. It's a heavy, somber London where centuries of royal secrets seem to bleed into the very stone of ancient cathedrals. Imagine a scenario so daring, so high stakes, that even the boldest Hollywood screenwriters wouldn't dare to put it on paper. A man born into the highest echelons of royalty, who once stood on the Buckingham Palace balcony before millions, now navigates airport security like a ghost. There are no trumpets, no red carpets, and not a single bodyguard to be found. With a baseball cap tugged low to mask his face and a dark hoodie draped over his frame, he moves through the crowd unnoticed. Yet those few who manage to catch a glimpse of his eyes describe them as haunting, carrying the weight of a gathering storm. Is it fear or the raw determination of a man with nothing left to lose? This solitary figure hidden within the rushing crowd has ignited a firestorm across private forums and insider circles over the last 24 hours. Whispers suggest this is none other than Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex. Despite his efforts to vanish, keen observers point to unmistakable signs: that signature stride, the white-knuckled grip on his backpack straps, and a glimpse of a tattoo on his wrist. Every detail points to one staggering reality: the exiled son has come home. But why this question is currently haunting millions? Why would a man who turned his back on the crown, who penned a memoir to sever every tie, and who sought a new life under the California sun, suddenly return to the very den of wolves? He once renounced, "The digital world is convinced this isn't just a casual visit." Perhaps the truth isn't found in a longing for home, but in something far more calculated. Instead, the truth is hidden within a single object of immense weight. A letter. A mysterious document sealed in crimson wax, long thought lost, the kind of seal that, according to royal legend, only emerges when a dynasty teeters on the edge of survival. If the whispers from the inner circle are true, Harry didn't come back by choice. He came back because he was summoned. Today we journey beyond the headlines to dissect the truth behind this suspicious homecoming. We're going deeper than the surface of the mainstream media. We will descend into the shadows to assemble the fractured pieces of this puzzle, decoding the whispers from the palace halls and exploring the most daring theories. In a hidden corner of history where secrets refuse to stay buried, could a haunting truth from the era of Princess Diana finally come to light? Is this a long-forgotten promise or a debt of blood that has finally come due? The question remains, is Harry returning as the savior of the crown? or the spark that will ignite the final collapse of the Windsor Empire? Ladies and gentlemen, watching that solitary figure at Heathrow Airport serves as a haunting reminder of the weight of legacy. We often find ourselves captivated by the allure of power, the glow of fame, and the immense wealth of legendary dynasties. Yet we overlook the reality that extreme privilege always carries a heavy price. In that quiet moment of isolation, Harry isn't just facing the emptiness of his own journey, he is standing in the long shadow of a crown where every movement is dissected, and every breath is burdened by expectations that never end. Being born into a world of luxury doesn't provide a shield against the storms of life. Sometimes the very name you inherit and the blood in your veins become the heaviest chains of all. Despite fleeing halfway across the globe and renouncing his titles, Harry remains tethered to the shadow of his past. This return, regardless of its purpose, is definitive proof you can leave your home, but you can never truly leave your roots, especially when those roots are defined by wounds that have never been allowed to heal. In our own lives, we often believe that silence or physical distance can erase family conflicts and deep-seated issues. But the truth is, they don't disappear. They remain in the shadows, quietly smoldering, waiting for the moment we are forced to face them. True courage isn't found in running away. It is found in the return, in the willingness to confront the ghosts of our past, even when the only thing we have left to hold on to is the pain. We often carry our wounds and mistake that burden for growth, but true strength is found in the courage to return and heal them. Are you ready to face your own past? Comment 1 if you agree, or 0 if you have a different perspective. I hope this journey has given you a little strength for your own path. Enjoy the experience, and don't forget to hit subscribe and share this video with someone who needs to hear this message today. It all began on a somber afternoon, a stark contrast to the sun-drenched glamour of Montecito, California, the ultimate sanctuary for the global elite. According to sources deep within the local aristocracy, neighbors noted a sudden unsettling shift in the atmosphere surrounding the Sussex estate. The usual sounds of laughter and the energy of garden parties had vanished, replaced by a heavy, suffocating silence that seemed to consume the entire grounds. It all started when a sleek, armored black sedan with deep-tinted windows pulled silently up to the main gate. This wasn't a local vehicle, nor did it carry the familiar branding of shipping giants like FedEx or UPS. A mysterious figure stepped out, not in a uniform, but in a bespoke black suit, reflecting the precision of England's legendary Savile Row. Insiders speculate that his rigid posture, piercing gaze, and calculated movements exuded the unmistakable discipline of the royal military elite. Could this be a member of the Grey Men? The legendary figures in slate-colored suits who manage the palace's most sensitive affairs? What this mysterious visitor handed directly to Meghan Markle wasn't a court summons or a social invitation. It was a thick, substantial envelope crafted from handmade vellum, the same ancient stationery the royal family has utilized for centuries. But what truly froze the air was the unmistakable seal that guarded its contents. Sharp-eyed observers and heraldry experts have pointed out that the crimson wax seal on the envelope displayed an incredibly rare emblem. This wasn't the standard royal crest. Instead, it appeared to be King Charles's personal seal, a symbol of ultimate authority reserved for only 2 scenarios: a national emergency threatening the very survival of the crown, or a family tragedy so deeply buried it cannot be spoken of. If these reports are accurate, a haunting question emerges: why was Meghan forbidden from opening that letter? Anonymous sources believed to be staff members within the estate have shared a chilling detail that sends a shiver through anyone who hears it. As Meghan reached for a letter opener to break the seal, Harry suddenly appeared. He didn't just enter the room. He charged in. Rumors suggest he snatched the envelope from his wife's hands in a state of sheer panic, his fingers trembling uncontrollably as he reclaimed the document. If the contents were a simple health update from an aging father or a formal invitation to a royal ceremony, would a man like Harry, a veteran of the battlefield, react with such raw intensity, or does that aged, yellowed paper reeking of history contain a final ultimatum? The digital world is now buzzing with a chilling theory. This letter, though bearing King Charles's personal emblem, may not have been written by the king's hand alone. In a parallel universe of conspiracy theories, it's whispered that King Charles, facing health challenges, shielded by the cold stone walls of London, has decided to activate a truth mechanism. Could this letter hold echoes from the past? Perhaps it contains words tied to a long-forgotten promise, a haunting secret regarding Princess Diana's final days, or an unpaid blood debt whose interest has finally come due. Harry remained silent after reading the document. No explanation followed, and there was no room for debate. According to household staff, that silence was far more terrifying than his most explosive outbursts. It was the hollow silence of a man who had just glimpsed his own death sentence or the end of something he cherished even more than life itself. In that moment, the image of the carefree father in California seemed to vanish. All that remained was Prince Harry, the royal soldier receiving his orders for one final mission. As night fell, consuming the last glimmer of Montecito, he was gone. Leaving behind his family and the safety of his sunny paradise, Harry ventured alone into the storm awaiting him across the ocean. The plane departed in total secrecy, carrying not just a man, but a letter with the potential to burn an entire dynasty to the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, this dramatic opening chapter serves as a stark reminder of the destructive power of secrets. In any relationship, whether between spouses, parents, or siblings, secrets often form the most invisible yet impenetrable barriers. We convince ourselves that hiding the truth is a way to shield those we love from suffering. Harry likely believed exactly that when he seized the letter, choosing to shoulder the burden alone rather than share it with Meghan. But in reality, silence often breeds a fear far more damaging than the cruelest truth. When you exclude your partner from the defining struggles of your life, you aren't just protecting them, you are inadvertently driving them away. Trust rarely collapses under the weight of screaming matches. Instead, it fractures in the quiet, agonizing moments of doubt. No burden is too heavy when two people carry it together, but even the smallest secret, when hidden in the dark, can grow into a boulder that crushes the strongest bond. So the question remains, is Harry's silence a heroic act of sacrifice or the first fatal error that will bring everything crashing down? Only time holds that answer. In this fragile equilibrium, how do you judge Harry's decision if you believe his silence was a noble sacrifice to shield the ones he loves? Comment 1 below. But if you see it as a critical error, a spark that could burn down the bridge of trust, be honest and type 0. Keep your eyes on this channel. Hit that like button, share this story, and make sure you're subscribed so we can uncover the next chapter together. as the mysterious Gulfstream jet cuts through the Atlantic night carrying a solitary prince and the heavy burden of his past. The very foundations of Buckingham Palace have begun to tremble. A silent storm is gathering over the House of Windsor, invisible yet heavy with the thunder of impending crisis. If the frantic whispers echoing through the corridors of power are to be believed, Harry's return was not met with tearful reunions or open arms. Far from a warm homecoming, it was compared to tossing a lit torch into a dormant keg of gunpowder. Inside Clarence House, the private sanctuary of the King and Queen, the air was reportedly suffocating. A loyal insider, a veteran of 20 years who had never before leaked a single whisper, broke their silence to describe Queen Camilla's reaction as unprecedented. "Throw him out, do not let him through that gate," she allegedly screamed. But was this a command born of unbridled rage or a desperate cry of panic? Insiders speculate that Camilla doesn't hate Harry, she fears him. But why would a woman who has ascended to the absolute pinnacle of power-crowned queen consort tremble before a prince stripped of his titles? Perhaps she knows that the return of the prodigal son threatens to resurrect ghosts she has spent decades trying to bury. The boldest theory yet suggests a terrifying truth: Camilla knows exactly what is inside that letter. She knew that a private audience between father and son, unguarded by her watch, could shatter the unspoken agreements that paved her path to the throne. Harry is no longer just a visiting son. He is a living witness to the family's darkest chapters. Yet the most chilling detail of that night wasn't Camilla's panic. It was the inexplicable sudden disappearance of Prince William. The brother who once walked shoulder to shoulder with him behind their mother's casket has chosen to vanish just moments before the storm hits. Raising eyebrows across the UK photographers captured Prince William's Range Rover convoy slipping out of Kensington Palace under the cover of darkness. His destination, Anmer Hall, the isolated fortress of the Wales family in Norfolk. If confirmed, this isn't just a trip. It's a strategic retreat from the chaos unfolding in the capital. Under normal circumstances, with the monarch's health in critical condition, the heir to the throne would stand as the pillar of stability. Prince William should have been the first to welcome Harry, projecting an image of unshakable royal unity. Instead, he chose to withdraw. According to behavioral psychologists and body language experts, this departure isn't fueled by petty grievances or childish resentment. It is a maneuver driven by deep-seated fear and cold, strategic calculation. If we assume William is privy to the true reason for Harry's return, that he has read the letter or knows exactly what Charles is preparing to confess, his exit takes on a much darker significance. It becomes a silent yet deafening declaration to the world: "I will not be a party to this. I will keep my hands clean. I refuse to be dragged back into the dark history that is about to repeat itself." By leaving London, William is securing the ultimate political shield: plausible deniability. By physically removing himself from the equation, William secures the ultimate defense: total innocence. Should the confrontation between his father and brother spiral into a media firestorm, or worse, trigger a full-blown constitutional crisis, he remains untouchable. He has made his definitive choice to protect the sanctity of his future throne rather than shield the brother rushing headlong into the storm. William's departure leaves a gaping power vacuum at the heart of London, and in that chilling void, as the heavy palace doors finally slam shut, only two men are left standing to face one another. An aging king tormented by the weight of his conscience, or perhaps a deep-seated fear, now stands face to face with a prince whose heart is scarred by years of unspoken pain. Harry, now willing to burn every bridge to unearth the truth, confronts a destiny that has been 30 years in the making. Ladies and gentlemen, as we witness William's strategic flight and Camilla's cold fury, we are forced to confront a bitter lesson: the loneliness of power and the instinct for survival. In the world of great dynasties where self-interest and the honor of the crown are elevated above the bonds of blood, individuals are often driven to make the most ruthless of choices. It is a world where survival doesn't just invite sacrifice, it demands it. William, as the heir, is not permitted the luxury of emotion. He must operate as an institution. And the primary instinct of any institution sensing danger is self-preservation, to isolate the threat even when that threat carries the same blood. We often condemn William's coldness, but perhaps we should consider his perspective. In a parallel universe, had he stayed to intervene, would he have been dragged down with the sinking ship of the past? William's actions remind us of a stark truth. When the storm arrives, some dive into its heart to find answers like Harry, while others build a fortress to survive like William. Neither path is entirely wrong nor entirely right. It is simply a choice, though the price is a brotherhood that may never be healed. That night, London was swallowed by fog, a thick, biting cold characteristic of England designed to conceal everything. But inside the west wing of the palace, the nerve center where those who hold the kingdom's fate reside, the lights burned with an unusual intensity. According to leaked fragments from the night shift guards, this was no ordinary reunion. The meeting between father and son didn't unfold in a lavish sitting room filled with velvet sofas. Instead, it took place in the king's most private sanctuary, the sanctum. This is the area known as the royal family's White Zone, a place where listening devices, security cameras, and roaming servants are strictly forbidden. In this space, there is seemingly no room for traditional fatherly love. Instead, the air is thick with the scent of ancient paperwork, the sharp aroma of brandy, and the stifling weight of secrets left to decay. Imagine the scene: King Charles, a man who spent 7 decades waiting for the crown, now sits deeply recessed in a worn vintage leather armchair. Opposite him is the son who walked away from that very crown to pursue the call of freedom. One represents the unyielding weight of tradition. The other, the volatile force of disruption and pain. The air between them didn't crack with polite conversation. Instead, it began with a silence so heavy it felt physical before erupting into a verbal storm. Heated arguments supposedly bled through even the soundproof barriers of the palace. "You should have told me sooner." If these words truly escaped Harry's lips, as insiders suggest, the implications are staggering. Why sooner? What truth was withheld for so long that its revelation now feels like a betrayal of time itself? Why has the king chosen this exact moment to unburden his soul? Perhaps the issue runs deeper than the king's illness. A cancer diagnosis, serious though it may be, seems unlikely to provoke such intense anger in Harry, a man already shaped by profound loss. This has led many to suspect that unseen forces are at play beyond the public narrative. Meanwhile, online speculation has surged in obscure corners of the internet. Rumors speak of a secret contingency plan allegedly prepared for life's final limits, a so-called royal dead man's switch said to exist as a last measure meant to act when silence can no longer be maintained. A startling theory emerges that Charles may have acknowledged the existence of classified records linked to the 1997 Pont de l'Alma tunnel accident documents Harry has long sensed were real, yet never had proof to confirm. It is a suspicion shaped more by intuition than evidence. In this imagined moment where secrets surface, one could picture Charles speaking carefully to his son, "I did not cause it, but I know who was responsible, and I stayed silent to protect the crown." Imagine that in a moment of weakness brought on by age, the king chose to place a dangerous truth into his son's hands, an invitation to open Pandora's box. Was it an attempt at personal redemption or a calculated hope that Harry, the so-called rebel son, might confront forces within the palace that even the monarch himself could never fully restrain? The meeting reportedly lasted just 2 hours. 2 hours to confront 3 decades of buried pain. 2 hours for a father to admit his failures and for a son to see his past and his family in an entirely new light. When the heavy oak door finally opened, Harry stepped out in silence. No one saw him cry. There were no tears at all. Yet, according to an old guard, his expression looked like that of someone who had glimpsed something deeply unsettling and returned changed. The anger was gone, replaced by a pale stillness and a calm, unsettling resolve. He moved down the long corridor, each step echoing softly behind him. Whatever he had learned was now clear. He had his answer. But the cost of that answer may have been the last remaining thread of trust Harry had in his family. We often repeat the saying, "Better late than never yet," in relationships already fractured. Truth can arrive too late, no longer offering healing, but causing deeper damage instead. When a father conceals a secret for 30 years and reveals it only in moments of weakness, it may not be an act of bravery. It can be the final act of self-relief, transferring a lifetime of guilt onto another person and leaving the one who hears it to carry the shock alone. Harry spent his life searching for answers about his mother's death and his family's emotional distance. Yet when those answers finally arrived, they did not heal him. They deepened the wound. This is why honesty matters while there is still time. Waiting until everything is broken to apologize or confess can turn truth into harm. Some truths spoken too late are no longer a source of comfort. They become something that cuts away the last fragile bonds of connection. Harry may now have the truth, but that night the image of his father was lost to him forever. Is a truth revealed too late a form of freedom, or merely a blade that cuts through what little trust remains? Harry's story stands as a painful wake-up call. If you believe we should live honestly while there is still time, leave a 1. If you feel some truths are too harsh and better left unspoken, comment 0. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to help us continue uncovering the stories that exist beyond the spotlight. The doors of Balmoral may be closed, but the real storm is only beginning. Harry now carries knowledge that could either preserve a legacy or forever change how history remembers it. Will he choose silence in the name of peace, or allow long-buried truths to come to light? That choice lies ahead. What would you do if you held Princess Diana's secrets in your hands? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss what happens next. This is purely for reference purposes, only based on hypotheses and unverified rumors/public opinion. Let's discuss it from an objective, analytical perspective. Goodbye and see you soon.